Josh. Good morning. In your day-to-day life, AI is, not even something that is should we not, right? It's already integrated. This is part of the new normal for you. As someone who works at Microsoft, how has your own journey in AI evolved?
Cool. This all really started last year. I am a PR professional. Yes, I work for Microsoft. I work in, tech. But I'm not a data scientist. I'm not a computer engineer. But like you said, this is reality for all of us now. And so last year, when we announced Bing Chat, which was sort of the first step in Microsoft's AI transformation, it was great. It was exciting, but we didn't realize that a very massive and profound change was unfolding. And fast forward to today, Microsoft's become an AI company, and all over the world now we've gone from AI euphoria to reality. So my journey, if you will, is driven by that inevitability. AI is here; it's here to stay, and we all need to adapt. But it is exciting, and I am a very passionate advocate of the technology as a consumer. I use generative AI in almost everything, not just work, household management, parenting, extracurriculars, everything. But what really excites me, though, is it has such an incredible potential for people and for good. So, as an example, imagine a farmer, in a rural area who doesn't know how to read or write, and there are government grants that he qualifies for, but he doesn't know about it. So huge missed opportunity, and that um, is such an unfortunate miss. Or it's such a big miss. But what if through an AI powered application on his son's mobile phone, he can gain access to all of those grants simply by speaking to it and asking, what's available. Furthermore, applying for those grants using the app. He doesn't know how to read or write, but he can prompt it to say, apply for me. And that's an actual use case out of India. It's an application called Jugal Bandi that we created with a local organization. So that potential and that technology that can enable it is available to all of us right now. More than convenience or productivity, no, we have access to really the most transformative, most consequential technology in history.
And I mean, you mentioned earlier you are a PR professional, right? And there are many paths that a PR professional can take. What inspired you to explore the intersection of tech and, the work that you do as a communications professional?
Okay. So I started my career storytelling and marketing for tech brands. This is way back when social media was new. I remember trying to teach myself how to use what was at the time seemed so cutting edge, but email marketing and using Facebook. It was at the time when Facebook was new and people were still finding ways to infuse it into business, into everything. And that path continued. I went from tech company to tech company, spent time in telco, and I tried venturing out to another industry, and went straight back to tech. I think it really just underlines the innovation is exciting, and telling that story in a way that communicates to its audiences, communicates benefit, and builds trust is what keeps me here. So Microsoft is one of the big tech companies. I think everyone would agree. So it's an exciting space to be in, especially now with AI and how involved Microsoft is in terms of leading a global change, a global platform shift. There's really no other more exciting place I find for me to be in as a storyteller.
Yeah, and you're really you get to experience the new standard in the workplace, right? Like with AI, ChatGPT, Copilot, so many others, so many applications. How is AI currently impacting the way Filipinos live and work?
So this is year two of AI, and this is when we're going to see applications and innovations really come to life. As I mentioned, Last year was really more about, oh, what can it really do? How does it really work? Is it good? Is it really that good? But now things are more clear, and organizations and governments and people are starting to see that, okay, this is here. It's not going anywhere, and there's huge potential now. So there's a lot to be excited about as AI becomes more mainstream now in banking and in education and e-commerce. From a work point of view, it shouldn't come to a surprise to anyone, but based on an annual study we do called the Work Trend Index, 86% of Filipino knowledge workers are already using generative AI at work, and that's among the highest in the world. So we're first to it. We're being pioneers, which is to be expected of Filipinos. We have a proficiency for technology. It's also shifting the hiring economy. Quite very interestingly, is as AI skills become more prized among employers, and at the same time, it's also shifting job preferences. So people are less inclined to work for companies who don't have AI in their tools, in their strategies, and all of which really underlines the need for everyone to adapt and the scale and speed at which this change is happening. So that's happening here in the Philippines.
Wow. And so my mom's a professor for UP, and she sees her students use AI. And one of the hard things for her as an educator is trying to impart a mindset in them that still focuses on them adding their own value to it and not becoming over reliant on it. What mindset do you think young Filipinos should have? Especially, I think us, our generation, we had all of these years where we didn't have AI, and so we're coming in and it feels like a tool. It just feels like, oh, a new thing for my toolkit. But for a lot of young people, what educators are observing is that it's so tempting to use it as a crutch or to be like, oh my gosh, I'm tired, like, no. So how do you want to frame it for a young person that it exists, but you also need to add your own value, and you you have to bring something also to stay competitive.
That's an excellent question. And education broadly is a really interesting topic, as far as AI and how it comes into education is concerned. It creates a lot of questions. Naturally, it's something new, something that's challenging existing conventions, but that space and that moment of discussion is such a great tool to use, to create change. But specifically on how students and having a mindset around this. So you're absolutely right. I think it's one of the things that we, among the imperatives that we give, customers and even ourselves, is having that, first, that mindset of growth, that um, growth mindset. Yeah. So get out there, test, see what happens, see what works. The second thing that we say is, don't be intimidated, to learn, be open to new ideas, explore those new ideas, and see how you can create value for yourselves and for others. But the third thing is, and I love that you said it, don't lose sight of your value. This is an incredible tool, but it's only just a tool. The real magic is how it can amplify you, and allow you to do unprecedented work and to be innovative. So, from a professional point of view and from a student's point of view, that's a very different. Those are both very different. Um, for students, um, think about from a perspective of time savings. If this helps you do your work faster, do your schoolwork faster, what else can you do? What other skills can you learn? What new things can you try? And also, this is an opportunity to grow yourself also. So that's, I think, if I were to speak to a group of students, don't stop at just AIing your way to completing your essay or your project.
Yeah.
Do something else. Add more dimension to your project. I mean, you
Yeah.
can. This has access to so much information. In fact, it has access to all information, all human collective knowledge. So if you're if your report is just about, this certain topic and this one focus, add some more into it. That forces
Yeah.
you to think of your output from a different perspective and add that into your work. And
Yeah.
as you do,
So like
do that more times. Yeah, you do it more. You do it enough times, that starts to become a habit. That starts to become muscle memory.
yeah. And it's there's a very big difference between making your life easier in the sense of let this be the bridge for me to access data I wouldn't have access to, or perspectives I wouldn't have access to, and then incorporate that into what I'm already doing so that I can level up. There's a huge difference between that and this thing can give me the answer to the question and let me copy
Yeah.
paste it,
Yep.
because then that's the difference between using AI to grow and then just it actually working against you because you're not exercising those muscles and those connections in your brain, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier year two. So we're all learning and growing together, and figuring out what this future will look like. To fresh grads who are entering the workforce, what are the concrete ways that they can immediately apply in their very first job using AI to make their lives easier?
So on fresh grads, firstly, this can do so much more than make work easier for you, right? Like we were talking about, it can do so much more than just giving you the immediate answer to a question, literal and figurative. So focus instead on how this tool can create a clear value differentiator for you. So from an employer standpoint, why is this important? Because based on the study that we did, 70% of Filipino leaders say they will only hire candidates with AI skills. 68% of them say they'd rather hire someone less experienced but has AI skills than someone who is more tenured but doesn't have AI proficiency. So AI aptitude is taking center stage, and AI can really break sort of the career ceiling for anyone, regardless of level. So that's applicable to senior management as much as it is for fresh graduates. So it absolutely is a need. Everyone has to. This has the potential to elevate everyone and accelerate careers and opportunities for everyone.
Right. And what when you say AI skills being a differentiator even for fresh grads, what are those AI skills that workplaces are looking for that you would recommend for young people that okay, this is what I specifically need to learn because AI is so there's so many things you can do. So
Yeah.
what are the most crucial ones for a fresh grad?
So the most, really just boiling it down to what is an AI skill? And the answer to that is just first knowing how to interact with it and how it can in turn respond. So AI, large language models are designed to, generative AI applications are designed to create output or responses based on a prompt. So prompting is the base skill for anyone who wants to interact with AI. It's really knowing how to converse. It's different from a search, internet search query where diba, you ask a question and you get an answer. These things can reason. These are reasoning engines. So if you ask it, and if you ask something in a way that isn't clear or that's not doesn't have all of the information, the AI can actually reason over your prompt and try and respond in the way that it thinks you're asking for whatever it is that you're asking. So build that muscle. I think it's important to also understand, again, how it can work. Large language models can go through large amounts of data, and give you the output that you want, right? So having that baseline understanding is first step, and having the skill and building the muscle of prompting is really the skill of the future. So if I were to give advice, like how do you get your prompting and your AI muscles strong? Uh, Start to use some of these tools that are generally available now. So through mobile apps like Microsoft Copilot, you can start to build that muscle of prompting. Use it to tell you about the TV show that you're watching. Use it to plan your next trip. Let's say you're in Boracay and you're vegan. From a search point of view, you would do a lot of individual searches to find bits and pieces of information and put them together. You can tell this thing, literally, you can speak to it or you can type it. You can say, find me all the vegan restaurants in Boracay, indicate how far they are from my hotel, and their price ranges. Diba? So that's an easy way to use it. It helps you a lot during your trip. It saves you time. But at the same time, it's also a great way to, again, build the muscle and start to understand how it works. No? And from that small habit, no, forming that habit, once you have a clear grasp of what this can do, you can then start to look at your daily processes at work and at home, and then break them down and into steps and identify, hey, maybe this can help me with that. This can help me with accounting, with our grocery list, and then later on, as you expand that thinking, you'll start to have AI empowered or AI enabled scenarios across the board.
Yeah. What I like about the Boracay example is that it has nothing to do with work. It's integrating it into your daily life, and then maybe that helps cross the barrier for some students, right? Where it's, but I didn't study this in school, which is a very common, even pre-AI. Every young person goes through this self-doubt of, but can I do this? Because I didn't really study this. I didn't have a course on this. This wasn't part of my, the way I did org work or the way I did my thesis, right? But in including it in your daily tasks, like planning your trip, planning your grocery, then it stops being something that feels so intimidating, like it's pang work, pang
Mm.
professional, but rather it's something pang life. And then it will, it's just a framework that you can apply everywhere,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
That
That's
makes
and
it
that's
less
what you want. Yeah,
intimidating.
correct. No, I actually use this. Obviously, I use it at work. I use it for work a lot. I use it just as much for my life outside of work. I use it to one new way that I'm using it is it helps me bond with my children. So what we do is we have an AI, a creative platform called Microsoft Designer that can create imagery based on prompts. On there are different styles, there are different outputs. You can make greeting cards, monograms, icons, avatars. So what started with my daughter was I made her an avatar. So I asked her, hey, what do you want to look like? And she's reading a book right now, or she loves reading this one book about firefighters. So she wanted to be a firefighter. And then the next step from that was, after we made her firefighter avatar, was we're writing a storybook now. So every day I ask her, okay, firefighter, um, what are we doing today? Oh, there's a fire. So okay, so we're in the firehouse now, and the alarm goes off, right? And that tells you that you have to go respond. Yeah, yeah. So we make that image. So now her avatar is, standing in the middle of an empty firehouse with a surprised expression, and that's the scene for the day. And she doesn't know it, but we do this enough times, and we'll end up with a storybook, right? And
Oh
so I'm
my goodness.
excited to show that to her, but as an example of really to illustrate how the possibilities of this, more than a work product that makes you faster, more efficient. It's something that um, can help you save time and do things in a different way. Um, if you use this if you use this every day and you save 30 minutes a day, which is very easy to do, you end up with 10 hours of time savings every month.
Yeah.
What can you
That's
do with 10 hours?
yeah, that's
You can
amazing.
do so much.
Yeah, and with those 10 hours, right? If we think about, well, first off, I am going to copy your idea for when I have a child. The second thing is, with those 10 hours, right? If AI levels the playing field, that, okay, um, it breaks those ceilings, as you said. what, using those 10 hours, what skills should young people keep investing in for them to be competitive in this new landscape?
Okay. Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sure. So, if everyone has access to AI tools, um, how should individuals stay competitive? Like, what, with those 10 hours, what skills outside of AI should the young people be building up?
Okay. So there's a very canonical question that this whole wave of AI has created, and it's about jobs, right? And it's about if AI can do a person's job, then why do we need the person? The question that we like to ask in turn in response to that is, if let's say for me, if AI can do Josh's job, why do we need AI? The question that we ask in return is, if AI can allow Josh, remove him from the drudge work that he does. We spend so much time responding to emails. In fact, according to our study, we spend 9 hours a week just on responding to emails, 9 to 10 hours a week in meetings. So a lot of admin work. So if AI can pull me out of that drudge work, or at least lessen the time, what more can I do? And so we focus on that more, right? And so from a young professional's point of view, I think you referenced a very common reality, right? That we sort of like to think of ourselves as, oh, I only studied economics, I only studied um, engineering, or I didn't learn about mathematics or all of that. This takes down those barriers. One great example that we have is, actually, this is a lesser known application of ours, at least from a broad audience point of view. But we have this platform called GitHub, which is a developer platform. So it's for people who code, right? And coding, as in general, is something that you study, right? Not everyone. It's not something that you easily pick up, like getting into a new hobby, or anything like that. You have to learn it, and it's very, very complicated. And coding, building an application or a website, it takes a lot of time, a lot of lines of code, a very intricate, very specific skill set. We put Copilot in GitHub. So now you can prompt your way into building something. You can literally say, build me a website that performs this function, that has this architecture. You can write it yourself. And actually, let's say if you write the code and there are errors, it finds the errors for you and it fixes them. But so it really has it's lowered the barrier for innovation, and widened the entry point for innovation, such that even if you didn't study, computer engineering, you can use this. So one of the things that we're doing, from a company point of view, is, yes, we're infusing Copilot into our applications, and today every part of the Microsoft experience is AI powered, from the apps to the devices. Um, so we're doing that, and you can experience Copilot in the day-to-day apps like Word and PowerPoint and Excel. But we're also allowing our customers to build. That's an equally important part of what we're doing with AI, is we're giving access to our platform and making it easy for people to use that platform to build. And in fact, that's what excites us the most, is not what we're doing with our tech, but what we can allow others to do with our tech. That India application example that I gave, that's something that is so scalable, right? Two guys in a garage somewhere with an idea can create something that explodes, that
Mm-mm.
really transforms, an audience or a demographics experience, and benefits them by using this platform to build something, right? And so have that mindset of, and have that orientation towards learning new things, adapting to new things. This could unlock opportunities that you haven't even considered, um, and allow you to do more.
Yeah. And then in terms, so what I'm hearing also is what I'm thinking about right now is the value of developing one's interdisciplinary interests and interdisciplinary skill sets, because you can't prompt, you won't even think of a prompt of something you're not interested in. So for us to be giving, prompts that really unlock or unleash this creativity and these possibilities, it also takes having the imagination or having that spark in your brain, right? Of connecting the different things that you're interested in. Because the magic, for me, like for me personally, the magic happened when I was like, I do communications. I like basketball. I like the Lakers. Let me feed this thing, and then now I know how the Lakers do their social media, right? But if you don't keep feeding that imagination part of your brain, it will also limit your potential as you use the tool. How,
Correct.
like, does that feel accurate to you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think one thing about this is it's still new. It's new for all of us. We're all at sort of the starting point of it, and no one is inherently ahead. So if you ask me what my structure, my framework, or my favorite prompts are, it would I would I wouldn't be able to give you a very straight answer, a very structured answer, because I'm still learning. I'm still building the habit as well, just like I'm telling you. Um, and there's really so much potential for this to do. It can help in so many ways. It can do so many things. So, like you said, maybe start with what's familiar. So for myself, um, the time savings really allow me to grow myself in other ways. So outside of work, I'm studying to be a coach. I'm studying to be a personal trainer and a nutrition coach. I believe in fitness and in balance. I want to work with people to have that balance through fitness, as they manage their households and their families. And I get a lot of people sometimes who say, like, how do you have so much time to work out while you're a dad, while you have children, and a full-time job? And people more often than not don't believe me when I say AI helps me do all of this, because it helps me reallocate my time. It helps me focus, be more productive during the time that I am working. It helps me work faster, smarter, more efficiently,
Yeah.
and then I can do other things.
Yeah. How important is it to develop your or invest in developing one's personal taste and aesthetics separate from AI? So I'm asking this question as a writer. I got my start in creative writing. And if I am to create a creative output, I'm like a designer or a writer, right? Um, there is something very unique about one's style, one's aesthetics, right? I know as a creative, the AI can give me, let's say, how the Lakers do their social media, how the Celtics do it, but the personal preference of me and my personal style, that, but I like this graphic design style more than this, because the AI can give me both. But
Mm,
the developing one's personal taste and aesthetics, so that your ability to choose and your ability to, like, use AI as an extension of that preference, rather
mm,
than relying on, like, on whatever, okay, well, it gave this to me, you know as
mm,
opposed to, okay, it gave me this, but my aesthetic preference is this, therefore as a creative I need to continue to prompt it in this direction. So
mm,
I would not be able to give it those follow-up prompts if I didn't keep consuming, let's say, works from different designers, or reading, or continuing to learn. So for a young person, how do they continue to, what skills outside the AI world, what should we still be consuming and what should we still be doing, so that we have this a very strong framework going into AI, so we can really maximize and, like you said, um, have it unlock so much potential for us.
Yeah. So there's a part of that. Um, there's a very technical answer that I will try to give first. Number one, as a user of AI, um, there's ways that you can, let's say if you wanted to write in a sort of style, in a specific style, there's two ways you can do this. Number one, and this applies to me, is when I ask Copilot to write me, let's say a media release, a press release, about a certain topic, it will go through my data. It will go through all of my writing, and it knows how I write, so it will write the same way. You can program that into the prompt as well, into the output by adding references. So this is the technical answer. So you can say, write me a press release that references this bigger announcement or this study that we did or this product launch that we did, and it will write based on that. There's ways also where you can sort of build your own copilot to, let's say you wanted to write like Mark Twain for whatever reason, as an artist or in whatever form you wanted to write like Mark Twain, or you wanted to write like C.S. Lewis. There's ways that you can train your copilot to do that. So that when you ask it to write, whatever product catalog, if its training is grounded on C.S. Lewis, that product catalog is going to be very interesting because it will read like C.S. Lewis. So that's a function of how you train the AI. But as you train people, I think focus first on, it's easier to build from you, start from you. So one thing that we always say, and I mentioned it earlier, is don't lose sight of your value, your insight amidst all of this. This that's part of the reason. That's actually the reason we call our AI co-pilot, is because it's you in the driver's seat. It's built around you. So build the capacity of this tool around your passion, your focus, your interests, and then see how you can scale from there, right? As from
Yes.
a more philosophical point of view, later on in life, you're gonna have a family, you're gonna have a business, and it can come into those things. And by that time, if you have a framework of how you can integrate AI into those different things as they come, based on the experience that you have from doing so for yourself, then the transitions are faster, the innovation becomes
Yeah.
faster, the value becomes um,
Yeah.
more immediate, more exponential as well.
Right. So for me, I would tell a young person, you know, keep reading all of these different authors, keep consuming all of these different, materials, because that continues to build your value. So you won't know whether you want to do a Mark Twain or a C.S. Lewis or a Tolkien if you don't know these things first. So I guess that's it, right? Like we gotta keep building our value separate. I mean, you can use a tool to continue building your value, but there's also yeah, just other ways to build value, and you have to bring keep building that up so that when you apply it to the tool, then you're like a
Yeah,
more whole person going
yeah.
into it. Yeah.
Also, I think, approach it in two ways. There's two ways that this can work. Is one, it can, amplify and elevate the insight that you currently have. Those things that are unique to you, that mean something to you, your career ambition, your advocacy. At the same time, you can also expand yourself into new areas, into new passions because of how you use it, right? So having that balance of focus on your strengths and having an openness to new opportunities. Like I said,
Yeah.
um, I studied journalism. I've been in marketing and in communications my whole career. I never in my, you know, in my life imagined that I would be um, this sort of involved or exposed to such, groundbreaking technology and how it's made, how it's used. um, but it's giving me that access. I cannot take that access for granted. I have to use it. It helps me do more at work. It gives me opportunities down the line. Like I never thought that, in my career in Microsoft that I didn't ever think it would be possible for me to go into maybe the engineering side of the business or go into the development side of the business. These are the farthest things from my radar. But with this, I can. There's the tool can help me. There's over 200 courses on LinkedIn that are free that focus on generative AI, you know, um, from different roles that apply to different roles, to different industries, for leaders, for students. So that's available to me. The tool can help me do that. If I wanted to make that change, I don't know what that process would look like, but am I confident that I could if I wanted to? Yes.
Yeah. Being a it unlocks ways for you to be a better pilot of your life.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. That's what I'm getting from your journey. It's I think you are the proof. You are the example. You are the case study. So you could literally just be like, look. So I feel like that's what makes your journey so interesting. And I wonder if you talk to a young person, with all of the potential that AI has, and the ways that it could integrate and do so much for you from a philosophical level, is there such a thing as over relying on AI for you? Does that exist? And if it does, what does it look like so that young people can avoid over reliance?
I think the biggest miss for anyone is to look at this and stop exploring or stop at just a response to a question, right? From a philosophical point of view. If you just look at how this can fit into our conventions and our experiences today and stop there, then we lose the opportunity immediately. As an
Yeah.
example, education. Um, this when ChatGPT, when generative AI became mainstream last year, there was a lot of discourse in the education space, right? Because as you said, with your mom and your mom's example, about it's so easy for kids to just prompt their way into completing an essay or a thesis, um, and there's really no effective way to check, right? Microsoft has tools that can check AI credentials or yeah, image credentials if they were generated by AI. That's available. Um, there's we have metadata in all of our AI generated responses, so you can trace, you can track. But really broadly, right? If a teacher is looking at a body of work from a student, a piece of work from a student, it's very difficult to check, right? And so from that point of view, AI, so to speak, doesn't fit into the system. But what's interesting is there's a study from Dr. Benjamin Bloom called the Two Sigma problem that examines um, the methods of education that we have today. So classroom, small groups, big groups, um, one-on-one tutoring. And the point of the study is to find which method creates mastery best. So fastest, and at scale. And the study found that unequivocally the best way to create mastery on any subject is for a student to have a private teacher. But who can afford that? Diba? Not everyone can afford that. Here in the Philippines, there's just in the public school system, there's 25 million DepEd students across the country. So how many of those students have access to a private tutor? And the answer is, not many. But what if through AI, you can give everyone that tutor. You can give all 25 million students that tutor. Then you create mastery for everyone. Diba? And
Yeah.
that's possible today. That technology exists today, and it's available today. So, you have to have that mindset of the biggest loss is just stopping at, okay, how can this fit into the systems now as they are and only as they are? And if it's, because we will look at
Yeah.
that, if we ask that way, we look at it and, it, like for like the education example, right away we'll say, oh, it doesn't work. So let's move on to the next thing. But a little shift in perspective and having an openness, a mindset of growth and um, learning and adapting, then you can do something completely new and unlock
Yeah.
something completely new.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the importance of the mindset of the user. So, we've talked a lot today about, the ways it can be used, right? So, it can save you time, which you can use to level up yourself. It can introduce you to new perspectives, which will improve the way that you approach not just work, but also life. And this is the new standard. This is, like you said, inevitable, and this is how we're gonna live. So, with all that, just to wrap up, what is the role of AI in the toolkit of a fresh graduate? Like, how would you summarize all of that?
So we're all going to need this, right? This is the skill of the future. And the sooner and the faster that we can build it into ourselves and we can adapt, ultimately, the better we are for it. Right? It's going to create opportunities. It makes you more valuable at work. It makes you a more promising candidate. Um, so it's absolutely needed. So start small, form the habit, get used to it, and then start thinking more broadly. It's important for all of us to have a balance of optimism and skepticism. We're very much aware at Microsoft that this can be used in a lot of great ways, but it can also be used in a lot of not so great ways. And the only way that we can move forward equitably and safely is if we're always asking all the questions that need to be asked, even the hard ones. So that applies to us, how we build the technology. It applies to how we're working with governments and policymakers to create the legal frameworks that can safeguard everyone. It applies to users as well. We also have to be mindful of what we do with these tools, which tools we use, and if what we create with them, puts anyone at risk. So having that balance of optimism and asking questions, being skeptical of it, so that we find the safe way forward. That responsibility, ethics, is a human function that belongs to all of us. And lastly is, don't limit yourself to just what this can do in the immediate, in your present situation at work or at school. What really excites us about this is its potential to do more. Its potential to do the things that have never been done before. There's never been technology in history that's been this um, transformational, that was diffused, is accessible as quickly as this is. If you think about, electricity, for example, and how that um, was brought to the world and over time, and if you look at the world at night right now, you'll still see places that don't have electricity, right? So this is so
Yeah.
different in that it's already with us. It's accessible on your
Yeah.
phone. It's accessible on your work tools. You can use it as you browse. How much time do Filipinos spend on the internet? You can use this as you search on the internet, as you find information. Um, that's that's such an opportunity that we have this right away in this scale. And so look at this as a tool that you can use for something that is completely new. Um, as a people, Filipinos, we possess so many unique characteristics that put us in a very auspicious position. We're young, incredibly high digital literacy. We speak the world's languages. We're adaptable. We're resilient. We're inherently innovative. And combining that with these technologies is such a promising proposition. We can be a global center of excellence. And our only real limitation is our willingness to adapt, our our imagination, our willingness and our ability to imagine. The possibilities very are quite endless, really. So one of the great misconceptions about AI is that it's somehow exclusive, but it's not. Like I said, it's already with us now, with all of us. Anyone with a smartphone can use it. We all have the ability to participate, and we all have the potential. We can all benefit from it. So it absolutely belongs to all of us. So let's
Yeah.
all use it. Diba?
Yeah. Let's use it and let's grow with it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful.